Welcome to this month's deep dive. We're really getting into the May 2024 edition of OCQ magazine.
Oh, cool.
Edition 37, if you're keeping track.
Okay.
And it's interesting. It's a business magazine, but it's got this really cool focus on AI
Right.
and innovation, and visually it's very engaging.
I can imagine.
You know, it kind of reminds me of like a cross between Wired
Okay.
and Entrepreneur magazine. Have you ever seen it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're going to be unpacking some fascinating articles from this edition, and they range from AI's impact on industries to, believe it or not,
Okay.
ways to recharge your own batteries.
That's a really interesting combination. I think that, it makes you realize how important both of those things are these days. Understanding both cutting edge tech and also,
Absolutely.
personal well-being.
Yeah.
They're not as separate as you might think.
No, not at all. So let's jump right in with this article. It's called Energy Givers versus Energy Takers
Okay.
by Kiki Kemp.
Interesting.
So she is the owner of Carinetics.
Okay.
And a pain-free living mind-body therapist. Now, before you jump to conclusions about, energy vampires and
Right.
all of that, Kiki actually takes a very grounded approach, really explaining why understanding your personal energy flow is crucial, especially, she points this out, for people who are dealing with chronic pain.
Yeah.
So,
I think one of the things that really stood out to me in that article was how she starts with a feeling, I think we all know, which is, that sense of feeling drained without really knowing why, and she argues that for people with chronic pain, this is even more crucial, being aware of what gives and takes energy.
it's so interesting because she goes even deeper by giving all these examples of how this plays out in real life.
Yeah.
Like she talks about introverts and extroverts and with activities recharge them,
Right.
and it made me think about, well, I definitely get energy from interacting with people, but I know a lot of people who don't. And,
Yeah.
and she even talks about this whole concept of being a highly sensitive person, HSP,
Oh, interesting.
which can also impact your energy levels. Were you familiar with that?
And I think for someone who's highly sensitive, certain stimuli can just be very overwhelming. And it can drain their energy much faster. It's like their sensory input is amplified.
Yeah.
And so I think, understanding your unique sensitivities, whether it's to noise or crowds or even certain types of lighting, can really help manage energy more effectively.
That's so interesting because it makes you realize how personalized this whole energy management thing is.
Right.
It's not just this one size fits all.
Absolutely.
But what I appreciate is that she doesn't just point out the problem. She actually gives you this practical exercise to try, which I love.
Right. It's about empowering you to take control, right? So she suggests actually going through your day and marking which activities give you energy and which ones take it away. It's like doing an energy audit.
I love that, an energy audit. I'm totally going to try that. So we've talked about recharging our own batteries. Now let's shift gears and talk about how AI is transforming industries, which is a key theme in this issue of OCQ.
What I appreciate about their approach is they don't just explain AI, just in a vacuum. They actually connect it to the reader's world by showing how AI is impacting these specific sectors.
Yeah.
And what that means, for businesses and for us.
Right. They have this great piece on AI in the food industry. And get this.
Okay.
They're talking about using AI to personalize menus.
Wow.
Based on your dietary preferences. Imagine getting a menu that's specifically tailored to your needs. Maybe you're vegetarian or gluten-free or have certain allergies. And the AI takes all that into account and presents you with options.
That's amazing.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah, that's really, really interesting.
And it's not even just that. It can also be used to predict demand more accurately, which could help reduce food waste, which I think is a huge problem in the food industry.
For sure, yeah. I mean, restaurants could really use that kind of technology, I think, to, analyze their historical data, factor in things like, weather patterns, local events, really kind of optimize their inventory and minimize waste. I mean, that's a win-win.
Absolutely. And then there's AI-powered customer service. Think chatbots that can take your order,
right?
Answer questions, even process payments. I mean,
it's really streamlining everything.
It is. It streamlines operations, maybe reduces those wait times, and then frees up the human staff to actually focus on more complex tasks.
It allows for that human touch in other areas which is great.
Exactly. So we've got AI making waves in the food industry, but what about its potential in personal development, which they also talk about? Their article on AI in coaching really caught my eye.
Yeah, it's a fascinating area. And OCQ really dives into how AI can be used to, like, personalize coaching sessions,
Yeah.
analyze your progress, even create these immersive training experiences
Oh, wow.
using virtual reality.
VR in coaching, that sounds like super futuristic.
Right.
How does that even work?
Well, imagine like putting on a VR headset and being transported to this simulated environment where you can practice like your presentation skills in front of a virtual audience, or even role play, like challenging conversations with a virtual coach.
Oh.
And then the AI can analyze your performance, provide feedback, even adjust the simulation in real time to create this really personalized and effective learning experience.
That's wild. It makes you wonder if like one day we'll all just have AI coaches instead of going to like human therapists or career coaches.
Right. That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Will AI replace human coaches, or will it enhance their abilities?
Right.
And I think, OCQ doesn't pretend to have all the answers, but they definitely raise some important questions about, like, the future of coaching in the age of AI.
Yeah. It's something to think about for sure. Moving on, there's also an article about AI in fitness.
Okay.
And they tell this really interesting story of this guy named Eric Van Dyke, and he transformed his Amsterdam gym called Fit Life using AI-powered equipment and, get this, hyper-personalized fitness plans.
What's interesting about that, what they mean by hyper-personalized, is that the AI takes into account not just like your fitness goals, but things like, your body composition, your sleep patterns, even your dietary habits.
Wow.
To create this really customized plan.
So it's not just like tracking your steps and your, what do you call it?
Right.
Reps and sets like some fitness trackers do now. It's like having a personal trainer and a nutritionist like all rolled into one.
Exactly. And of course, the article talks about, the challenges that he faced in implementing this new technology, the cost involved, the technical hurdles, even some, resistance from members who were maybe a little bit skeptical of AI.
I can imagine.
But ultimately, he was able to create this really successful business model.
That's awesome. I love hearing stories like that about how entrepreneurs are kind of like embracing AI to innovate and adapt,
Totally.
And speaking of adapting, the article on AI in retail is pretty eye-opening.
Yeah.
Yeah. They talk about how AI is being used to like enhance the customer experience in ways that we might not even realize.
Like what?
Well, for example, they talk about using AI to personalize product recommendations.
Okay.
You know how like when you shop online and you get those recommendations for things that you might like based on your past purchases?
Right.
Well, AI can take that to a whole other level by analyzing your browsing history, your social media activity, even your location to suggest things that you might be interested in, even if you've never purchased anything like it before.
Like it knows what you want before you do.
I know. It's a little creepy, but also kind of cool.
Yeah.
And then there's the AI-powered customer service aspect. I mean, we've all interacted with those chatbots online.
Right.
And while some can be frustrating, the technology is getting so much better.
It really is.
I've actually had some surprisingly helpful interactions with chatbots lately.
For sure, yeah. They're definitely getting more sophisticated.
Yeah.
AI-powered chatbots can handle like a wide range of queries now, from answering basic questions about products and services to even processing like returns and exchanges.
I've definitely done that.
And because they have access to these vast amounts of data, they can often resolve issues much faster and more efficiently than, a human customer service rep.
Yeah, it makes you wonder, like, what's going to happen to all those customer service jobs? Is AI eventually going to replace humans entirely?
It's a valid concern, but the article also points out that AI can free up human customer service agents to focus on those more complex issues that require like empathy and creativity and problem-solving skills that AI may not be able to replicate.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's like that saying, technology should improve our lives, not replace us.
Totally.
Yeah.
And speaking of technology improving our lives, the article on AI in e-commerce shares this really inspiring story about a woman named Sophie Jansen.
Okay.
And she used AI to completely transform her business.
Oh, wow. Tell me more about Sophie. What did she do?
Okay, so Sophie owned a brick-and-mortar store that was really struggling to compete with, all the online retailers.
Right, yeah.
And she knew she needed to adapt, but she just wasn't sure how.
Right.
And that's when she discovered the power of AI.
How did she use AI to turn things around?
So she started by using AI to analyze all of her data, her sales data, her customer demographics, even her competitors' online presence.
Okay.
And this gave her these valuable insights into her target market, their preferences, their buying habits.
So she basically used AI to do market research for her.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. But she didn't stop there. She then used AI to, optimize her website for search engines, create targeted advertising campaigns, even personalize the online shopping experience for her customers.
So it sounds like she really went all in on the AI.
She did. She
Did
did.
it pay off?
It did. Her online sales just skyrocketed.
Wow.
And she was able to not only save her business, but actually grow it beyond what she had ever thought possible.
That's amazing. I love that. It's those kind of stories like Sophie's that really show how AI can be such a powerful tool for entrepreneurs, especially in this ever-evolving world of e-commerce.
Totally. And what I think is so cool about OCQ is they go beyond just reporting on these trends.
Yeah.
They actually showcase the visual and experiential aspects of these advancements too.
Yeah, you're right. Even just flipping through this magazine, it's an experience in
Yeah.
itself. They've got stunning visuals and these really thought-provoking pieces that go beyond just the articles themselves.
Totally. Like that image they feature of the modern home. It's an AI-generated image of a home, but it's not just any home. It's like something out of a futuristic movie.
Hmm.
Sleek lines, sustainable materials, technology seamlessly integrated into every aspect of the design.
Yeah.
It's like AI is not just changing how we live, but how we envision the future of living.
It's pretty wild. It's incredible how AI is blurring the lines between technology and creativity.
Totally.
And speaking of creativity, did you see that article about the Blue Ghost sports car?
I did. That was so cool. A fully AI-designed sports car. Can you imagine
Oh.
an AI that can not only design a car, but also optimize its performance, its aerodynamics, its safety features?
It's kind of mind-blowing and a little bit intimidating, to be honest.
It does make you wonder about the role of human designers in a future where AI can just dream up these incredible things.
I know, right? But I guess that's the thing about AI. It kind of forces us to rethink everything.
Totally.
It's not just about the technology itself, but how we adapt, how we integrate it into our lives, our businesses, our world.
For sure.
And speaking of adapting, this whole issue has me thinking, after this deep dive into OCQ and all these different applications of AI, what has you most curious? What's sparking your imagination?
It's funny. I was just thinking that this magazine is it's like a launch pad for our own explorations.
Yeah.
It's not about handing you all the answers, but it equips you with this new information and this inspiration to kind of start asking the right questions, the questions that will lead you down your own
Yes.
path of discovery.
I love that. So for anyone listening who's ready to kind of explore this intersection of AI, innovation, and the human experience, I highly recommend checking out OCQ Magazine. You can find them online at www.oc-q.com.
Yeah, you never know. Maybe your next big aha moment is waiting for you within their pages.
I love that. Okay, until next time, keep those minds curious, and thanks for joining us on this deep dive.